Hello, hello. Welcome back to Retrieving Sanity with your host, Keegan. Today, I just want to talk about, um, well, thing is that I almost relapsed. I relapsed in my program, not like drinking or using, but I was starting to take something to make me feel different, and that's what my program is about, not taking something to make me feel different. And well, it's it's a slippery slope, and I caught myself, thankfully, and I have taken action to, well, right the wrong. So now the next step is to, well, make this public, not quite an apology, but I couldn't keep making these with good conscience, and that's also part of my program. So I coined the term pre-lapse because as I was going through the Minute Nehemiah and I heard other people talk about their relapse, they always said that it started way before they actually started to use again. And that's what happened with me. And it started with my thought process. It was a regression, and that's the thing, is that recovery is about growth. It's about really growing yourself in your spiritual life, your way of living, just being a part of growth. And that growth is uncomfortable. They call them growing pains for a reason. And so I stopped working my step 10, and I think that's the one everyone says they stopped working first. And step 10 is about keeping a daily inventory of where you messed up, how you messed up, or things that you should be on the watch for, like selfishness, self-pity, anger, being discontent. And the whole point of step 10 is that it's a maintenance step. So after you work your steps 1 through 9, then you start 10. And 10 is kind of like working 4 and 5. Well, really, it's like working from 4 to 9 every day. And it's as you go along, as you have these moments of, well, having regression into old thoughts, old patterns, and old mindsets. And that is where I messed up, because I was starting to harbor a resentment, and it was towards someone that was, well, close in both a literal and metaphorical, in both a literal and metaphorical sense. So how I made this right, or starting to, was by making an amends to that guy. And I didn't do anything necessarily that was per se I hurt him, but it was kind of along the lines of me distrusting him and then holding that resentment. That was really what threw me for that loop. Started to get me back into a mindset of I got to take something to make me feel different. And again, that's not my program. My program is doing the hard things and then reaping the results. And actually, pretty much every single time I've done the hard thing first. Every time I've done the hard thing first instead of letting it build, it's always surprised me. Every single time. And it's kind of weird because you think that after doing this enough times that it would get in my thick skull that, you know, it's not that bad. In the book, the AA book, there's actually some lines about our problems are self-imposed. Things that baffle us and seem so troublesome, they actually start to go away. And not in the sense that, oh, this problem, this incident, whatever is gone. What it is that we know how to work it, what we need to do. And with that, it makes it that much more bearable, if you will. And going through the steps is interesting because you see a change in yourself, but it's really in the mindset. But it's a lot like going to the gym. If you look in the mirror every day and analyze yourself, you won't see the change. Everyone else around you can. And I'm pretty sure my housemates could tell something was up or something wasn't quite right. And so it was stemming from this resentment and that conscience, like guilty conscience, was that of I know what I need to do with this guy and I couldn't bring myself to do it. But the reason why is because he struggles with something aside from addiction, and you know that I was really trying to, I'm not going to make excuses. I just fucking did not do what I was supposed to do. And it's plain cut, simple, dry, seasoned, maybe a little. But that's the thing, is that it doesn't matter what excuses, what reasons, anything like that. The fact is that I still tried to take something that would change the way that I felt. And it wasn't right by any means, but I do want to say it wasn't any hard drug, it wasn't any alcohol, none of that. It was just something anyone can get. And, that's why the term abuse or misuse is around. So, for some people, they might consider it a full-blown relapse. for me, it was just a pre-lapse. Had I not caught myself, I could easily see myself going back down that dark road where I know nothing is good. The addiction replaces something that we're lacking. And for me, it's a comfort, if you will. It's like covering yourself with a super warm, well, no, not even that. Maybe just like, I don't know, some kind of weighted blanket, I guess, that's warm. But it's replacing something that I don't have, which, if I don't work my steps, if I don't keep in fit spiritual condition, I lack the feeling of comfort, if you will. And this comfort is what I seek whenever I am trying to take something to make me feel a little bit different. And it's funny because I get that comfort when I work my steps, whenever I properly work my program. And so this was a wake-up call. It tells me I need to be in closer contact with my sponsor. I need to journal things down. I need to do something with what I'm thinking instead of just always thinking about my thinking. And for some of you, that may make sense. For others, it's like, well, duh. But that's the thing, is that a lot of addicts, we sit there and we have a quote unquote magnifying mind. We can take ourselves, tear it to shreds, and then be like, I don't know what the hell happened. But at the same time, whenever you work the steps, it's like piecing it all back together and going, that wasn't so bad. But at the same time, it does suck. And I'm not going to say that I didn't do anything wrong, because I did do enough wrong to still warrant a wrong. So, my 1-year chip is at the house I reside in. They will give it to me after a year. And so I will have 2 different dates for myself. One for alcohol and another for, well, anything else. And again, some people may not see it as a full relapse. Others might. And to that I say, look at it how you will. I know where I stand, and I'm not trying to minimize or mitigate the whole situation or anything. I have taken action. I have taken steps to erase, or better yet, to help me do what I need to do for, well, my program, for myself. And even though it's one of those things that isn't fun, what I can say as well is that that guilty conscience that I was having during all of this, it showed. And I'm pretty sure some of y'all can see that, or rather hear it. But that's what this episode is about. It's about an apology that I owe to anyone and everyone that listens. So from here on, it's going to be a better podcast. It's going to be a better video blog. It's really like the rising of the phoenix. And that's always been something that stuck in my mind, because the phoenix burns and goes to ash, but then arises from its ash. And I feel like that's kind of what I'm doing again, but this time it was like a foot or something, but that's the thing, is that with this podcast, it means so much that I couldn't sit here and make everyone think that I was 100%, because guess what? I'll never be 100%, and that's okay. That's okay. And I do not know exactly what is going to happen. I don't know how everything is going to play out. But something tells me that it'll be okay. That everything will be alright. And as my mother so likes to tell me, is that as with everything, this too shall pass. And I believe her. It's true. It's like a storm. The best way out of it is to go through it. And it's just one of those things. It's a learning experience. I'll never stop learning. But sometimes I wish I could stop learning the hard way. And I think I am getting to that point where I'm there-ish. I still got bumps, stumbling blocks ahead. But that's the thing. Now I know things that I can do to mitigate any further actions that lead back to a regression. And with this podcast, I'm going to double down. I'm going to start getting like active guests in, so it's not just me sitting here blah 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 blah. I want to have conversation. I want to answer questions. I don't want to sit here and just make it like that AA meeting where no one has a topic and everyone's like, oh, we'll just find someone's problem to talk about, which I guess I kind of did here. My bad. But I did want to issue that apology and the resolution that I will do better. And it's one step at a time, but that step, it may be small, it may not even be a step, but for me to do this was difficult. It took a lot of thinking, but it is what it is. And so with this, I'll leave and say until I see y'all next time and with better content. Until then, Shalom.